You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
Hello. It's Safety Wars for Tuesday, March 10, 2026. How's everybody doing there? Been a couple of days, I know. You missed me? Some of you did, some of you didn't, I'm sure. So a little bit of a change here. I'm not wearing this Safety Wars jersey tonight. I have, and if you're watching at home, or hopefully not while you're driving, USA. I am wearing the World Baseball Classic USA jersey today. Go USA. They're doing pretty good there. I hope to watch the game, the next game of it, in the recap or whatever after this. We've been very, very busy in the last couple of days, and please keep us busy. 845-269-5772 if you need any help in your managing your health and safety issues at your facility, at your job site, at your company. We're going to talk tonight. How do you want to be viewed? How do you want to manage safety? Or we'll just say how to sabotage the next person. Well, Jim, what do you mean how to sabotage the next person? I'll tell you what it is. I had done a safety audit last week, and guy says to me, wow, you mean you're not going to yell at me? I'm like, have I ever yelled at you? He says, no, but I was on this job site where the safety guy did nothing but yell, but you try to get along with people. Everybody here tries to get along with everybody, tries to, work with people, everything else. And it's like, yeah, well, I said, well, it got me to thinking, which is often a dangerous thing. Not the first time that it has happened to me where we have situations where people do not like to participate in the safety management program. You have the work is planned. We know that red line, blue line, right? Right. Work is planned. Work is done. And no, one goes one way, one goes off to the other way, and everything else. And that line that signifies that we're going off into somewhere else, the work as done line. That is the line where the worker gets the job done. Usually nothing happens, right? Gets the job done. Usually nothing happens. And the other line, the straight line, is how we in management think it's going to work. The communication part is the gap in between that. What they're not telling safety, or what safety doesn't know, or management doesn't know, or the people writing the plans doesn't know, is in that gap between the two lines. And our job as safety professionals, we have many jobs. We have to fill the gap in that line with that. Why aren't they doing? Are they not communicating? Do they not want to communicate with you? Are you not asking? Usually it's not, well, you're not asking. You're not showing an interest in their work. And by showing an interest in your work, all right, and their work, it makes your job easier because you're building a relationship. You're trying to get, this whole thing to come together. Sometimes you're not going to be able to do that. So maybe you can find someone on your team. It could be a manager, it could be a site supervisor, it could be a foreman, it could be a person in charge, it could be whoever they consider a leader. You can have them maybe fill in that gap. Hey, what are we doing? Maybe they have a good idea. Maybe you can find out why there's a gap, and maybe a good reason. Like, hey, we found a better way of doing it that's safer, that helps us avoid an accident, an injury, speeds up the work without sacrificing safety. You don't know why. Maybe it's because they're hiding things from you, is the other thing. But the thing is, people are hiding things from you. Why are they hiding things from you? Is it because you're an AH, right? Or is it because you didn't ask? Or is it because they don't want to? There's an incentive, and it could be verbal or nonverbal incentive not to deal with you. There's a whole bunch of reasons. So fill the gap. And what now? Leaving it for the next guy to do, what does that mean? Oftentimes, we go on these job sites, we may be the third, fourth, fifth, sixth safety person coming onto that job. We may be, maybe they came from another job to your job. And hey, the safety over there, they're still on that behavior-based safety adversarial system situation. Not that behavior-based people want to be adversarial, but that often is how it's managed. Maybe they're on that end of things. All right, perhaps that's how it was managed. Right, I had a conversation today with somebody on, and we've mentioned it here. It was way back in the day, 2005, at a facility in Central Jersey. That's all I'll mention. And what happened? No, I'm not drinking beer, ginger ale. And what happened was, the safety was managed really, really terribly. It was managed by somebody who had about 2 years in the safety business. It was a multi-million, it was like $150, $160 million project. And it was managed by somebody whose primary experience was as a full-time rodeo clown. Of no experience in safety from what I can tell now. Then, we did safety. Really did do safety. And the adversarial situation that happened was horrific. When we talk about bullying situations on this program, that's what it was. It was like a Saul Alinsky Rules for Radicals bullying situation on there. A lot of the people, right, and everything. Go back and look at our programs. We're going to be redoing some of them. And very, very difficult leadership and everything. And we got into it one day, and as he said, the manager, he said, well, my job is to prevent accidents, and that guarantees me that I'm going to have my employment. I said, well, guarantees your employment is not that. Your employment is doing that without managing safety and doing that. Yeah, that happens. Great, of course. Nobody gets hurt. That's wonderful. But you got to get along with people. You're antagonizing this one, that one. And I warned them, right? Oh, no, you're full of gluvino. He didn't say gluvino, but blah, blah, blah. Okay, you've been warned. And Two things happened. About 2 weeks later, back in the early 2000s, you had a situation where a lot of companies, especially construction companies, did not have, right, like today, everybody has their own computer, laptop for some time. Now it's iPad, and you would go and look things up. We had a group computer. So you have a computer, and okay, safety guy gets it from this time to this time. Foreman gets it from this time to this time. This guy, and you have multiple people using the same computer. And on that computer, often there was like confidential stuff that probably people today would be hidden behind a firewall. You're talking medical stuff. You're talking bid information, things of that nature. That's not going to be out there. Well, this guy who worked for the general contractor, I worked for the subsurface contractor doing civil work. And he came in and he wanted to look something up real quick. He ended up looking things up like bid information, and he was caught. And there was a big hullabaloo, a big issue, yelling and this and that. And they got his boss in there. And his boss says, well, this isn't such a big deal. And they said, look, the subcontractor, they said, look, you've been giving Jim nothing but problems here on de minimis stuff for this entire project, and we've been managing things. And his problem is our problem, number one. Number two, you haven't approved any of the bills or invoices where you're 6 months behind on payment and you're asking us for freebies to manipulate us into doing freebies. So then what the quid pro quo is that we're going to do freebies and you're going to approve approve the invoice. Even to the point where we got you a crane at last minute, and your safety guy, the guy that we're having issues with, goes out there and does a full-blown safety audit on the thing and causes us 2 or 3 days worth of work for a half an hour job, and makes us look real bad, costs us all different kinds of money, costs us political capital and everything else for things that really, I don't know why they were, and all this other stuff. So you're going to lay off Jim. You're going to lay off our people, and meaning we're going to not lay them off, but, you're going to take it a little bit easier, be a little bit more understanding, cooperative, and help us out to have a good safety program. And you're going to pay the invoices. And if you don't do that, we're going to file charges here for what they called cyber crimes here, because you went and you stole confidential information. And we'll let everybody know. I get this. No, Jimmy, come down to the office. Okay. And he says, they want to fire me over this. They want to do this. I said, look, 2 weeks ago, I pointed this out to you. You yelled and screamed and lambasted me in front of all these people here. I don't know anything about this. I didn't set you up here. I know nothing about. First, I'm hearing about this because they don't tell me anything either here. You were warned. Right? What happened? This guy, eventually civil work ended, and they were just doing above grade work, right? We put in all the footers for the whole process. We abated remediated some soil, everything else. And I left the project. Job was over. And about 2 or 3 years later, I was hired by a painting contractor. Painting contractor brings me in because they had a situation. They needed somebody who was Polish, at least came from a Polish family like me, to help manage the situation, because at that company, 80% of the workforce was ethnic Polish, and they did not listen to anyone other than ethnic Polish people. Yes, it was that with that. And we ended up great client, great people, lifelong friendships, everything else. We ended up working there, but what happened? Because of what these people did, the rodeo clown and this other inexperienced carpenter's apprentice guy, because of the way they managed safety, it was very adversarial. And I mean, we're talking horror. So one of the stupid rules that they had was anytime you left the ground, you had to put on a harness. And they came up with this rule 6 months into the job and all the safety rules for the job, the safety plan 6 months after the job started. I don't know what the context was. I tried to, years later, find out what happened. And what ended up happening was they had a situation, but they didn't want to admit that they fouled up. So what they did was they just said, well, we're issuing this plan and you have to have 100% compliance by tomorrow. And I was brought in on the second day that they issued the plan to try to straighten it out. And we got it. No, we were good. We did a good job. And what ended up happening is I get called back to the facility with this painting contractor, and there was a cloud over that whole facility because of these two guys and a whole bunch, and their management structure that did this, right? And that allowed this adversarial situation. Horrific corporate culture there. It took us until about 2009. I came back December 16th. And ended February of 2005. End of the summer of 2005. So for about 4 years, right? And it took 5 years to write the safety culture there. Took a lot of building up political capital, building up friendships, relationships, getting a system in place that was non-adversarial, and everything else that goes along with it. Then I got a small job, right, out in the middle of Ohio for a couple of weeks to let me out of the refinery. And I happened to be wearing a shirt from one of their jobs, one of their projects. And it's had the name on there, blah, blah, blah. I'm wearing it there. Someone comes up to me and says, Jimmy, we like you. Please take off that shirt. You don't work for them. I said, no, I don't know. Everyone's wearing job site shirts. You're on a job, they get a T-shirt, blah, 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 that sort of thing. They said there was a job that a lot of these guys were working on. And they mentioned another location, the location I was in Central Jersey. Said those guys were at this job, and they mentioned the guys by name. They mentioned their whole management group by name, and everything else. He said, and these people have what Brett Sutton I described it to, who's a friend of the program. He called it a trauma response. These guys are ready to kill me. Like literally kill me. All right. And they, okay, it's cool. Just don't wear that shirt. Blah, 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 blah. So this is pretty much how it is. Are you managing safety? Here's the question. So the next person that manages safety is going to have a devil of a time in getting things right, and not getting the information, not being able to do the job. Because at that point, you leave the job, someone else takes over, and now what happens? People get hurt. Did it ever occur to you that maybe the way that you manage safety is what gets people hurt because they don't want to deal with you? You're an asshole. Did it ever occur to you? Because right now, there's a whole, and with this gentleman, we'll bring it full circle. This gentleman I had to deal with last week, that was his experience. Don't deal with the safety person. Blah, blah, blah. Don't give me those data for the data-driven decisions. Don't give them the good near misses, the good catches. Don't report accidents. You're going to have a problem. Is that the message you're sending? And then the next person has to deal with that, and you're sabotaging that next person, and therefore sabotaging the employees, getting them hurt because of a corporate culture you added to. And this goes back to what we just talked about last Wednesday, I think it was, last Wednesday's program. Are you sabotaging the company? Are you sabotaging the workforce? Are you sabotaging your safety program? Are you sabotaging your career? Are you sabotaging the health and welfare of your coworkers, the people that you're in charge of? A lot of questions there. And we'll go to our introduction thing here, right? People like me to talk first, and then we'll
Hi, this is Jim from Safety Wars. Before we start the program, I want to make sure everyone understands that we often talk about OSHA and EPA citations, along with some other regulatory actions from other agencies, legal cases, and criminal activity. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Proposed fines are exactly that, and they are often litigated, reduced, or vacated. We use available public records, news accounts, and press releases. We cannot warranty or guarantee the details of any of the stories we share, since we are not directly involved with these stories, at least not most of the time. Enjoy the show.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Safety professionals, get off your knees. You're not here to beg, you're here to lead.
Just sign it, don't slow us down. Don't make waves, don't shut it down. But I've seen the blood on the ground. I've read the names on the reports when they were passed around. A hard hat crack tells the truth, no lie. Somebody rushed, somebody waved it by. They call us overhead, call us a cost, but they never count what a life would have cost. Safety professionals, get off your knees. We weren't hired to beg, we were hired to lead. No more rubber stamps, no silent pleas. This job was built on accountability. Stand up straight, say what you see. Safety professionals, get off your knees.
Yes, get off your knees. So we're going to talk tonight about some, what do we talk about? A lot of press releases. OSHA and Department of Labor issued a whole bunch of press releases this week, and so far we're doing good. I don't know what got into them for issuing. They got, with this. So let's just take them one at a time. Now, last week we did stories on the EPA with that contractor that committed fraud, right? The laboratory. You can go and check it out. That was all the talk on all the EPA people. Right? Big freaking on all my projects. They were talking about that one. And remember, we're ahead 2 or 3 days on a lot of this stuff. Eventually, the mainstream media caught up with us. And, that's what we're here for. U.S. Department of Labor selects participants for a national effort to expand employment opportunities for individuals with disabilities. Core states to receive assistance focused on job seekers with mental health conditions. The U.S. Department of Labor today announced Colorado, Kansas, Kentucky, Maine, New York, Tennessee, and District of Columbia will participate as core states in the fiscal year 2026 in its fiscal year 2026 in its National Expansion of Employment Opportunities Network initiative. The selection will help connect these government agencies with targeted, ongoing technical assistance aimed at expanding job opportunities and improving the financial well-being of Americans with mental health conditions, including those with co-occurring disabilities. The current NEON cohort will focus on deepening state agency partnerships and supporting efforts leading to sustainable employment outcomes for individuals with mental health conditions. Specifically, NEOM, that's the acronym for the program here, National Expansion of Employment Opportunities Network. What will the program do? Help states improve collaboration across agencies serving people with disabilities, including vocational rehabilitation, mental health services, developmental disability services, and workforce agencies, supporting states in expanding and sustaining effective employment policies and practices that lead to measurable employment results for people with mental health conditions. Promote evidence-based practices to increase employment success for individuals with mental health conditions and use of data to guide decisions.
work with state intermediary organizations and provide national provider organizations, including new partnerships with mental health organizations and include a focus on employment services. Right? So, again, one of the things is people with mental health issues don't get jobs. They have higher unemployment rates. Now, for a whole host of reasons there. Right. The medication is very brutal. It takes away a lot of ambition. Well, with that, you check out the side effects for this stuff. The other thing is that they, along with some other problems, people often with mental health issues can't fit in with a lot of different employment situations. A lot of that, and it's the way it is. I have, just to let you know, I have extensive experience with dealing with in the mental health department here with things. So no professional experience, but I do have peer-to-peer experience here. U.S. Department of Labor awards over $220,000 to help workers affected by layoffs at Southwestern Oregon lumber facility. U.S. Department of Labor today awarded $224,000 plus to Oregon to support employment and training services for workers affected by layoffs at Rosenberg Forest Products. On September 25th, 2025, Rosenberg Forest Products permanently closed its Diller, Oregon facility, laying off 107 workers and causing significant economic disruption to the region. Administered by the Department's Employment and Training Administration, this National Dislocated Worker Grant will allow the Southwestern Oregon Workforce Investment Board to provide retraining skills and development services for dislocated workers seeking assistance in Douglas County. Supported by the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act of 2014, that law provides grants that provide a state or local board with funding for direct services and assistance in areas experiencing a major economic dislocation. Okay, now, this is March. This happened in September? I know we had a government shutdown there, but I mean, people are suffering all winter here with this here. I don't know. Maybe they were seeing how many people could find other employment before they started to help. I don't know. Seems a little, no, you would think that, hey, we're shutting down, let's go and help them now. And I hope that they receive some kind of help there, but no. $250,000, 6 months later, I don't know. Maybe a little bit too late there. I don't know. This is from March 9th. Keep on forgetting to share here. U.S. Department of Labor issues guidance on registered apprenticeship aimed at accelerating growth, reducing burdens, and improving transparency. The U.S. Department of Labor today issued guidance on the registered apprenticeship system designed to improve flexibility and reduce burdens for program sponsors, promote clarity and consistency in the registration process across states, and elevate quality standards and increase transparency surrounding the structure of the national apprenticeship system. Right? The issue by the Department's Employment and Training Administration, the guidance gives apprenticeship program sponsors clearer direction on how to design registered apprenticeship programs that fit their workforce's needs. Outlines roles and functions of state apprenticeship agencies and councils, and clarifies how to determine apprenticeship completion rates. ETA's Office of Apprenticeship also committed to making final apprenticeship determinations within 30 days of receiving registrations. Speeding things up there. Here's one. Here, this is from Nampa, Idaho. U.S. Department of Labor has recovered $293,000 plus in back wages for 56 workers employed by a Nampa-based residential construction company after a federal investigation found the employer denied them overtime pay in violation of the Fair Labor Standards Act. Investigators with the department's Wage and Hour Division determined the company paid employees straight time rates for hours worked over 40 in a work week instead of paying the federally mandated overtime premium. The division also found the employer failed
to pay travel time for one foreman who drove the employer's vehicles between the shop and work sites. That's where a lot of companies run into problems. And this is relatively a new practice. About 10 years ago, this started, where companies were getting nabbed over this here. So the division found the employer failed to pay travel time for one foreman who drove the employer's vehicles, and I'm highlighting that, between the shop and work sites, which resulted in additional unpaid overtime. So what I gather here is that you have a company vehicle, you got to report your job site at 7 a.m., let's say. I'm not saying this is what happened here, but this is where I've seen problems. So the employer was only paying for the foreman for time on site. So at 7 a.m. in the morning, you go to job site number 1. At 10 a.m., you leave, and you go travel an hour to job site number 2. And then you're there for a couple hours checking on things. Maybe you need to run some errands, what have you, for the company. And you get back by 3 o'clock. And then 3 o'clock and you're out there. And then before you know it, you're working a 12-hour day. But you're only getting paid 8 hours because they're paying for you for time on site only. Not for that travel time between sites. It's not the way it works. Right, that might have happened here. That's an issue. You got to pay the people with that. That's right. The division recovered back wages for each affected worker ranging between $90 and $32. How are they determining that $90 and $32,047? The employer also paid a $24,795 civil monetary penalty due to the willful nature of the violations. How? I don't know how they prove that, but the U.S. Department of Labor is determined to hold employers accountable, particularly when they deliberately attempt to evade the law by denying workers overtime pay. Federal law protects workers' rights to be paid in their full earned wages. We encourage employers to contact us for compliance assistance so they can prevent violations. With that. All right, we covered last Thursday the other stuff. Let's head on over to the EPA. Here, any news here? We covered all of this stuff, right? Now, we have two things here, right? Trump EPA released the strongest enforcement and compliance results in years. Again, one of the things that came out with and again, I'm just stating as fact, not opinion, right? Again, political content, possibly here. But one of the things that the EPA was saying, that the critics in the Trump administration were saying, well, the EPA is they're not going to be enforcing environmental laws, blah, 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 blah. And what I've heard on the Department of Labor end is that they're not doing as much enforcement per se as far as number of citations, number of inspections. However, they're really whacking companies. I mean, you got a problem. If there's a problem, you got a problem. I don't have data on that yet, right? If there's data out there, send it on over, jim@safetywars.com or 845-269-5772. With that, what it is. However, the EPA for fiscal year 2025, which started October 1st, 2025 and ran to September 2024. It started October 1st, 2024 and ended September 30th, 2025. We got it for the EPA. So today, U.S. EPA is releasing enforcement and compliance insurance results for the first year of the Trump administration. Some of the strongest achievements in years have taken place since President Trump was sworn back into office, including hundreds more civil enforcement cases concluded than the previous year, and an unprecedented commitment to helping secure the border. Highlights from President Trump's first year back in office include concluding over 2,300 civil enforcement cases, over 400
more than the final year of Biden administration and more than the last 9 fiscal years. Those 9 fiscal years include first Trump administration there. Blocking 1.6 million pounds of illegal pesticides from entering the U.S., a more than 70% increase over the last year of the Biden administration, obtaining sentences for 99 criminal defendants more than the previous year, securing more than $5.6 billion in commitments to return facilities to compliance, nearly $1 billion more than the previous year, securing commitments to clean up nearly 60 million cubic yards of contaminated land and water, almost 30 times more that than the previous year, reducing, treating, or eliminating over 98 million pounds of pollution and waste, assessing nearly $1.16 billion in civil penalties and criminal fines, restitution, other court-ordered relief, and conducting 12,000 compliance monitoring activities. And this is a quote from Administrator Lee Zeldin. The days of using EPA's enforcement arm to pursue overzealous prosecution and partisan agendas are over. The Trump EPA is bringing common sense and the rule of law back to environmental enforcement and compliance, said EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. We know we can both protect human health and the environment while also providing the certainty and stability needed needed to power the great American comeback. This past year's EPA's Enforcement and Compliance Assurance Program demonstrated that this administration will ensure compliance with the law even as it furthers economic growth, said Jeffrey A. Hall, Assistant Administrator for EPA's Office of Enforcement and Compliance Assurance. Results show, and he goes on and on and on. Here, let's see here. EPA's Office of Enforcement and Compliance Assurance also released final fiscal year 2025 annual results, which further showcase strong results achieved during the last fiscal year, most of which occurred under the Trump administration, concluding 2,127 civil enforcement cases, the highest number in 9 fiscal years, charging 156 defendants, also the highest number in 9 years, and obtaining 65 years of incarceration for the guilty. Finalizing 65 Superfund enforcement instruments valued at more than $888 million, with $714.3 million to address 59.4 million cubic yards of contaminated land and water. I'm going to say this. That may sound like a lot of money. Not a lot of money there with that. $888 million. That's not, it sounds like a lot, not a lot. Jimmy's opinion there. Performing 179 inspections that includes cybersecurity risk assessment at public water systems and providing an additional technical compliance assistance at 125 drinking water and 59 wastewater treatment systems. So they did more. Now, this is the other, and it goes on and on and on. I'll share this on my social media here. Let me say this much on here. This is me talking here. We always hear Democrats better for the environment, Republicans horrible for the environment. I think the Trump administration is trying to change that here with this. They're making an attempt. Let's remember, we had a very large government shutdown of the EPA last year because of the budget mess. Similar to what we're going with DHS, which I know we'll talk about here. Probably not today, tomorrow. Right. So they're trying to change, which I guess. Now you can say, well, they took us out of 66 internationalist, globalist plans from the UN, blah, blah, blah program. Okay, yes. It's been my contention that we need to concentrate on more traditional things, pollution, cleanups, than we will on global warming for a whole host of reasons. And you can go back and look at those programs that I did on those with that a couple years back
with that, I think we need to concentrate on more traditional, and this is the kind of stuff that I like to see. Taking that money from the global climate change stuff and putting it into actual cleanups here and putting polluters in jail if it's appropriate. I'm going to say this much. If they really wanted to help the situation, my opinion, remove sovereign immunity from the federal government except for Department of Defense on pollution issues. Start dragging these people in that are running the federal government that are polluting out there. The state government, the local government, violating their permits and everything else. I think you'll see a bigger cleanup situation here, a lot less pollution, and things will be getting cleaned up. On the other hand, an unintended side effect might be that, just like in the safety world, where things don't get reported because someone's going to freaking jail. Here in this case, not really going to happen in the safety world unless you're dealing with a state like New York that actually prosecutes. Again, that's just me. No, that's me. I don't. I want to protect the environment. I really do. And again, people say, "Well, you're leaning right, Jim." Well, I don't only lean right. With that, but I'm more radical than most of the environmentalists out there when it comes to enforcing what's already on the books, the way it is. With that, Administrator Zeldin announced the selection of members to Clean Air Scientific. Oh, and by the way, what are you talking about as far as that this week? Or last week, was it, that Congress voted not to release any sexual harassment data that Congress participated in, right? With that, only 65 representatives voted for releasing the data, right? Which means Democrats and Republicans don't want us to know what they are doing in Congress. Today, U.S. EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin announced the selection of new members to the Clean Air Scientific Advisory Committee, CASAC. The well-qualified experts from a broad range of scientific disciplines bring the experience and expertise needed to provide the gold standard scientific advice to EPA leadership. So who are the folks here? Dr. Brian Jundep, Colorado Retina Associates, PC. The chairman is Dr. Louis Anthony Cox from Cox Associates. I've heard of him. Dr. Fotios Christos Kafantaris. Let's try that again. Dr. Fotios Christos Kafantaris, Indiana Department of Environmental Management. Miss Catherine Kistler from Nucor Corporation. Dr. Sabine Lang from Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, Dr. Sidney Marlborough from Orion Engineered Carbons, LLC, and Dr. Stanley Young, CG Stat. I believe that's a title. I don't know if that's a company there. Right? So CASAC was established under the Clean Air Act amendments in 1977 and provides independent advice to the EPA administrator and on the technical basis of EPA's NAAQS, that's National Ambient Air Quality Standards. With that,
Safety Wars is streaming now.
SafetyFM.com.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hackneyed? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that is designed to actually address and assess your hazards and liabilities and is not standardized baloney from generations ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call me, Jim Polzel, at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you are receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
In an unpredictable world, one voice rises above the chaos. Meet Jim Polzel, a seasoned safety expert who's navigated through some of the most dangerous scenarios, from anthrax, explosive cleanups, disasters, and numerous environmental cleanups, and lived to tell the tale. Now he's bringing his wealth of knowledge, insights, and experiences to you through Safety Wars. From workplace hazards to the hidden dangers in your own home, Jim covers it all with his engaging storytelling. Safety Wars isn't just a podcast. It's your guide to a safer world. Join Jim Pozel and become part of the Safety Wars revolution. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts and videos. Safety Wars. Your safety is our mission.
This is gonna blow your mind. There's a new daytime talk show on your local cable access station. What happens when safety, scandal, and heartbreak collide? Welcome to Safety Wars, the talk show. Today's episode is a doozy. Imagine confronting your unsafe supervisor who just happens to be your ex-wife's new hubby. Talk about a powder keg. But wait, there's more. We've got an exclusive interview with a corporate exec who's taken out life insurance policies on his riskiest workers, hoping to cash in on a deadly mishap. Yup, you heard that right. It's a real-life plot twist you can't make up. Tune in as Jim Pozel, CSP, our very own Jerry Springer of safety, dives deep into this explosive confrontation. Sparks will fly and secrets will be exposed. Catch the full episode on Safety Wars on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform. Don't miss out on the drama that could save your life. Like and share now, and stay safe, folks.
Okay, we're going to conclude this. Catch us on our podcast.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.